Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to study Wole Soyinka's poem Telephone Conversation. The poem is written as a conversation between a black speaker and his prospective landlady, a white woman. What begins as a simple inquiry about renting a house turns into a sharp satire on racial prejudice, as the landlady insists on knowing the exact color of the speaker's skin. Through humor and irony, Soyinka exposes the cruelty and absurdity of racism. Let's begin. The poem begins with a telephone conversation between the speaker and a prospective landlady. The speaker, here is a black man, wants to rent a house or a room. He finds the rent reasonable, the location accessible, and he is also relieved to know that the landlady does not live on the premises. This point is very important. Maybe it can be asked for your logic based question like the African caller finds the accommodation suitable because he finds the rent reasonable, the location accessible, and he is also relieved to know that the landlady does not live on the premises. Okay, next point. However, there is one problem. The speaker politely informs the landlady that he is African. He calls this a self confession. He makes this confession because he has faced racial discrimination many times before. Make note this particular point, okay? He does not want to travel all the way to see the house only to be rejected because of his skin color. After hearing this, the landlady becomes silent. There is a long and awkward pause. This silence itself communicates her hesitation and prejudice. Though the landlady appears to be well mannered and socially refined, her silence shows that she is deeply racist. And what shows that she is very deeply racist? Her silence. Her prejudice slowly overpowers her good breeding. The word self confession and court are highly ironic. The speaker has done nothing wrong, yet he is made to feel guilty for his race. Through this irony, Shoinka strongly criticizes the absurdity and cruelty of racial discrimination. Thus, in the very opening lines, the speaker exposes how racism operates quietly but powerfully in society. Let's move to the next slide. The landlady responds by directly asking the speaker whether he is light or very dark. This blunt question clearly exposes her racist attitude. The speaker feels shocked and compares the situation to choosing between button A and button B on an old telephone, showing that the landlady sees race only in fixed categories. He describes her racist breath as a metaphor for the prejudice hidden beneath her polite manner. The pun, hide and speak, suggests that she was hiding her racism but now clearly expresses it. The speaker notices the red phone booth, pillar box, and bus, placing the scene in Britain. The repeated color red also reflects his anger and frustration. Please note down that point, okay? Unable to respond, the speaker remains silent here, calling it a surrender. The landlady is ironically described as considerate, though she only depends her racism. Here, the speaker is no longer shocked or silent. Instead, he begins to mock the landlady's unhealthy obsession with skin color. He suddenly understands what she really wants to know and calls this moment a revelation. With sarcasm, he asks whether she means a color like a plain or milk chocolate. The landlady agrees in a cold and impersonal manner. At this point, the speaker's tone changes completely. He now responds confidently and describes himself as West African sepia, a color officially mentioned in his passport. This reply is followed by another awkward silence. During this pause, the landlady tries to imagine different shades of color in her mind. The speaker calls this process a spectroscopic flight of fancy, comparing it to a device that separates color. All these points are very important. Students, please note down all this point, okay? Finally, confused and irritated, the landlady asks sharply, "What's that?" The speaker calmly explains that sepia is like brunette, meaning dark brown. So we come to know that this dark person, what is the color of this person? Dark brown. Through humor and irony, Soyinka exposes the foolishness of racial prejudice. So which is technique Soyinka used in this poem? Irony and humor. Okay. The landlady still refuses to give up her obsession with skin color. She insists, "That's dark, isn't it?" Showing that she understands racial identity only as dark or very light. The speaker now openly criticizes her prejudice. He explains that his body does not have a single uniform color. His face is brunette, his palms and soles are peroxide blonde, and his bottom is raven black. By listening these different colors, the speaker mocks the absurdity of judging people by skin color and deliberately tries to confuse the landlady. These are the two reasons. Okay. Realizing that she may hang up and reject him, the speaker begs her not to do so. Finally, he asks the landlady to see for yourself instead of judging him over the phone. This unusual short final line suggests that the landlady silently hangs up and ending the conversation and reinforcing the poem's theme of racial discrimination. Now let's move to the themes of the poem. One of the most important themes is racial prejudice based on color. The landlady judges the speaker not as a person but only by the color of his skin, showing how deeply racism is rooted in society. Another major theme is the hypocrisy of politeness. Though the landlady sounds cultured and well mannered, her questions reveal strong racial bias hidden beneath social refinement. The poem also highlights dehumanization. The speaker is reduced to a color label instead of being treated as a human being with dignity. Power and social inequality form another theme. The landlady holds economic and social power while the speaker is placed in a vulnerable position. Next, silence as oppression is repeatedly shown through awkward poses that communicate rejection without words. Soyinka uses irony and satire to criticize racism. Here, the speaker's humor exposes how foolish and illogical racial discrimination is. The poem also reflects the loss of human dignity as the speaker is made to feel apologetic for something he is not responsible for. Finally, the poem presents the failure of communication. Though it is a telephone conversation, real understanding never occurs because prejudice block genuine human connection. So these are the important themes of this poem. If it is come for your 5 mark and 10 mark, you have to elaborate all these points. Okay, please go through all these points and try to learn it. Now, let's move on to the poetic devices. I have included nearly 10 poetic devices along with their symbol definitions, examples, and effects so that you can understand them easily. For the past 2 years, poetic devices have not been asked in the exam, but we cannot be sure this time they may be asked. So, please go through all these poetic devices. And I have added all the poetic devices. Okay, enjambment is the first one. Symbol definition is there. Examples, effect. Second is end stop, caesura, alliteration, assonance, pun. Parataxis, polyptoton, metaphor, simile. These are the main poetic devices that I have added. Through these literary devices, Soyinka powerfully exposes the cruelty, irony, and absurdity of racial prejudice. These devices make the poem Telephone Conversation not only powerful in meaning but also rich in style. That brings us to the end of the poem Telephone Conversation by Wole Soyinka. I hope this explanation helped you understand the poem clearly. If you found this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the bell icon for more English literature lessons. Thank you for watching and see you in the next class. Thank you. Bye.